The next film I'm going to talk about is The Killer, a brand new film from legendary director John Woo. Now, what's interesting about this film is the fact that John Woo has decided to remake one of his own films. This movie is a remake of his 1989 film, The Killer, which starred Chow Yun-fat. Now, this new movie stars Nathalie Emmanuel and Omar. It premiered recently on Peacock. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, we're remaking one of our very own movies. Like, what's that about? I'm already very, very skeptical. On top of that, it's a streaming movie. I don't have a lot of faith there. But John Woo, a director that I really adore and love and just cherish all of his films so much that I've seen, wanted to check it out and give it a try. And I got to say, pretty decent. Much better than I expected it to be. It's nowhere near what the original is. And this movie prompted me to see the original. I hadn't seen it before. The original is incredible. It certainly is a John Woo movie, specifically from the 80s, that really just has all of that over-the-top stylized action, just incredible sequences, a lot of gunplay, just amazing, amazing stuff. Not quite as great as Hard Boiled. I still think that that's like his unequivocal masterpiece, but it's very close. And so this movie, it doesn't get to anywhere near that degree, but it is pretty good. And it kind of shocked me at how much I enjoyed it, mostly because of the chemistry between Nathalie Emmanuel and Omar Sy. It's a bit of a cat and mouse thriller, but ultimately she's really good in the movie. She gets physical a lot, does a lot of the action sequences, and it seems like she got into some really, really great training to make sure that she was very actively a part of that stuff. And more gunplay here, a lot of hand-to-hand combat, some pretty decent action sequences across the board. Certainly a pleasant surprise, but I think John Woo as a director, his films from his homeland, in China, they're always significantly better than his American-made movies. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of his most recent movie, Silent Night, that came out last year. Saw that, and it was kind of a snooze fest, to be honest with you. But this one, definitely a pleasant surprise. It might be his best American-made movie, maybe since Face Off, and that would sort of overtake Mission Impossible 2, perhaps. Yeah, it's a long time ago. Face Off came out in '97. He's done a lot of stuff in between, like he did the Red Cliff movies that are incredible. Again, stuff that he went back home to make. But in terms of his Hollywood feature films, it's been very, very shaky. But this one, definitely okay film. And yeah, I think that I like to see Nathalie Emmanuel hopefully in even more lead roles. How do you feel about her as like an action star? Because she's obviously like a big piece of like the Fast and Furious franchise for the past 7, 8, 9 years. She was also in that one spin-off movie on Netflix from the heist film.
Yeah, the one with Kevin
Hart.
Yeah,
that
the
one.
Lift, maybe it was.
Something like that. And she was also, I saw another movie with her this year. She was in Arthur the King, which is not an action movie, but it is like a very physical movie. She's doing a lot of cycling action. So she's certainly like stretching herself to kind of be, I think definitely a more physical actress across the board. How do you feel about just like what she's done up in her career up until this point?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think the trajectory she is trying to take, and especially the reason that it's weird for me is because we found her as Miss Sunday, right? Like on Game of Thrones, like that's where a lot of us found her. So it was like, whoa, now you're like doing all these action things and Army of Thieves, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh shoot, where did that come from? But I think there's a lot of versatility in her, and I think she wants people to respect her a lot as that action star as well, in things like The Killer. That way, when like Megalopolis comes out, right, like this year, we'd be like, oh shoot, she was in a Coppola film. You know what I'm saying? It's like I think she is trying to establish a lot of that versatility. So I'm all for it. I wish a lot of those movies were just better. I remember me talking on the podcast about, it was like a vampire movie, The Invitation, I think it was called. Oh my God, that movie was a train wreck. But it's like, it's never her fault. And yeah, I just want her to, I think, to find her footing with choosing her, choosing her movies, and hopefully she finds out. But shoot, I'm rooting for Megalopolis. It sounds like The Killer was decent, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, she's definitely showcasing a lot of different sides to her, which I like. I think the fact that she's able to be at the forefront of a lot of these films, it's pretty impressive because like we can't take that for granted. That it's hard to be a lead of a film. It's hard to land that. Some people never achieve that throughout their entire career, and she's already done it a couple of times over. So definitely can't wait to see all the stuff she has coming down the pipeline.